What's going on, you guys? My name's Robson, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to easily set up a tarantula farm in Animal Crossing New Horizons. Many players know that tarantulas are a great way to make money in Animal Crossing since they sell to the Nook shop for 8,000 bells each. The problem is, they're pretty rare natural spawns, so getting a bunch of them to sell can be difficult. There is one lucky island type in the Mystery Island tour that has a bunch of guaranteed tarantula spawns, but I personally have done over 20 Mystery Islands so far, and I haven't seen the Tarantula Island a single time. Since each island costs 2,000 Nook Plus miles, it's simply not worth it to continue resetting islands until you get the lucky Tarantula Island. However, there is an easy way to turn any Mystery Island into a Tarantula Island, and even including the time it takes to set up, you can still get over 250,000 bells per hour using this method. So that's what today's video is going to cover in full. First and foremost though, there will be a timestamp table of contents in the description of the video, so feel free to skip to any part of the guide that you're specifically looking for if you only need certain info. Tarantulas are a seasonal creature, and they only appear for half the year for each hemisphere. If your island is in the northern hemisphere, then you'll only be able to do this farm between November and April, and if you're in the southern hemisphere, then this farm will be accessible to you from May to October. Additionally, tarantulas only appear between the hours of 7 p.m. and 4 a.m., though they appear much more commonly after 9 p.m., so I would recommend waiting until after 9 p.m. each night before setting up this farm. To get started, there are a few things you'll need. Firstly, you'll need 2,000 Nook Plus miles to be able to go on a mystery tour. Once you've got the miles, simply go to your resident services building and buy a Nook Miles ticket from the Nook Stop machine. Next, you'll want to gather all the materials you'll need to set up the farm. Item-wise, you'll ideally want to have your ladder, pole vault, 2 axes, 2 shovels, 2 nets, and nothing else. Put the rest of your items and tools in storage to leave as much inventory space as possible for tarantulas. Additionally, you'll want to make sure you've got the food buff that allows you to break rocks with a shovel, so make sure you eat at least 5 food to get your buff to 5 out of 10 or higher before heading out. And once all this is done, you'll want to grab your Nook Miles ticket, head to the airport, and tell the dodo bird you're ready to fly to the Mystery Island. When you land on your island, you'll notice an assortment of flowers, trees, fruit trees, rocks, and weeds scattered all around. This is when the setup phase of the tarantula farm begins, and this is by far the most time-consuming and tedious part of the process, so I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks to make sure that you set it up as quickly and efficiently as possible. To give the tarantulas the highest spawn rate they can have, you'll want to clear everything off the grassy areas of the island, leaving nothing but grass. To start, take out your axe and begin chopping down all the trees, picking up the wood and fruit that they drop, and also picking up the weeds scattered around the island. During your first sweep of the island, just ignore the rocks, flowers, and tree stumps that you leave behind. Keep your axe out and clear all of the trees and weeds on the island, including the coconut trees on the beaches. Once you've completed your first sweep of the island and all the trees and weeds are gone, you'll want to switch from your axe to your shovel and then begin clearing out everything that's left over. The tree stumps, the rocks, and the flowers. You can simply dig up the tree stumps and then press Y to fill in the holes with dirt. You can do the same with the flowers, but make sure you press Y to pick the flowers off their stems first, so that you only need to dig up the stem of the flower. Repeat this process throughout the entire island, again not forgetting to uproot the coconut trees on the beach until the entire island is clear of all resources. Note that because you have the food buff, when you hit the rocks with a shovel, they'll immediately break and remove them from the grassy areas. Anytime that your inventory fills up during this process, you'll want to run over to the beach and begin dumping all of the items except for your tools onto the beach. Tarantulas can't spawn on the beaches, but they can wander onto the beaches after they've spawned, so you want to make sure you dump all the resources in the corners of the beach or up against the shoreline, as far away from the grass as possible. If you leave the flowers on their stems, then bugs will still have a chance to spawn on the flowers after you've moved them to the beach. This is not good because we want to remove the chance for every bug except tarantulas to spawn, so again, make sure you remove the flowers from the stems when they're planted on the beach so that no stink bugs or butterflies can spawn on them. Bugs can also spawn on top of tree stumps, including coconut tree stumps, so make sure you remove every stump on the island too. Once you've successfully removed everything from the grass and dumped all your trash and flower stems on the beach, there are only 3 bugs that will still be able to spawn on your island. tiger beetles and tarantulas spawn on the grass, and wharf roaches on the rocks near the water. Unfortunately, there's no way to stop tiger beetles or wharf roaches from spawning, but you can simply sprint into them whenever you see one spawn to make them disappear, which will then increase the chance of the bug that respawns in its place being a tarantula. And now the hunt begins. Simply run laps around the grassy part of your island, scaring off any wharf roaches or tiger beetles that you see, and waiting for tarantulas to spawn. There is a maximum number of bugs that can be spawned at once on the island, but since you've successfully removed the possibility for everything except beetles, roaches, and tarantulas to spawn, each of those 3 will spawn more frequently. And since we can just immediately scare off every beetle and wharf roach, it makes the spawn rate of tarantulas very high, even though they're technically classed as a rare spawn. Once you locate a tarantula, it becomes a simple game of red light, green light. If you approach a tarantula too quickly, it will get scared and attack you, knocking you out and then despawning. Luckily for us though, the tarantula will give you a warning before it attacks by going on its hind legs and hissing at you. Hold the A button down to sneak, and then approach the tarantula slowly. When it goes on its hind legs and hisses, stop moving and wait for it to return to all 8 legs. When it lands, you're safe to creep a little closer until it goes on its hind legs again to hiss. Continue pausing during the hisses and then creeping closer to it when it lands until you're close enough to catch it, and then simply release the A button you've been holding down to cast your net and catch the tarantula. After you catch the tarantula, it just becomes rinse and repeat. Continue circling the island, scaring off the beetles and roaches you see, and catching the tarantulas until you've completely filled your inventory with them. You'll want to keep your essential tools like your ladder and pole vault, as well as the net you're using for captures, but if you dump every other tool and everything else on the island, you should have 27 or 37 tarantulas to catch, depending on how far into the game you are and how many rows of inventory space you've purchased, before your inventory is full and you need to return back to your home island to sell them all for profit. If you've got 3 rows of inventory like me, you'll get 27 tarantulas per trip, which equates to about 216,000 bells per island. If you're a little farther in the game and have gotten the 4th row of inventory space, then you'll get 37 tarantulas per trip, which equates to 296,000 bells per island. At the cost of just a few tools and 2,000 miles per trip, this is an insane amount of profit. I've tested this on several different islands over several different runs, and I was able to consistently clear the entire island and fill my bags with 3 inventory rows in about 50 minutes. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to clear the island, depending on what type of island you get, and I average a tarantula roughly every 60 seconds while hunting. This equates to over 200,000 bells profit per hour, and that's a pretty speedy way to pay off your debts to that disgusting capitalist raccoon, eh? And that's pretty much all the info I've got on setting up a tarantula farm for really good profits in Animal Crossing New Horizons. With this strategy, you'll have all your debts paid off in no time. I hope you found this guide both informational and helpful, and if you did, I'd appreciate it if you let me know by leaving a like and comment, letting me know what you thought. If I forgot any vital info, or there's anything else you can think of that would help make this guide more effective for others, please let me know in the comments, and I'll make a pinned comment crediting all the people who helped out with additional helpful info. I plan to continue making more content for Animal Crossing moving forward, so if you want more content like this, then please subscribe, and let me know of any guides or other informational videos or topics you'd like to see discussed. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.